Welcome. The topic of the presentation is evaluation of information resources of scientific libraries. The scientific library is a modern scientific, cultural, and educational information center that ensures the realization of users' needs in obtaining the latest information. At the same time, it forms the information culture of future specialists who will work in fundamentally new conditions of the information society. One of the problems of modern libraries is the search for relevant information for information support users. Large arrays of information resources stored in the collections of libraries require the introduction of the so-called ideal information search system. However, in practice, this is usually not achieved. Many scientists investigate the issue of evaluating scientific publications. It was also discussed at several international conferences, symposia, and assemblies. At the 19th International Conference Context Counts, Pathways to Master Little Big and Date in the Leiden Manifesto for Research Metric, based on modern developments in the field of evaluation of scientific activity, 10 principles were defined. Similar ideas were implemented at the Assembly of Stakeholders. Starting from January 2022, the Assembly formed the concept and agreement for reforming research assessment. On July 8, 2022, the final version of the agreement was presented at a stakeholder assembly bringing together more than 350 organizations from more than 40 countries having expressed interest in being involved in the process. On July 20, the final agreement is made public. The main idea is to evaluate scientific research based on qualitative rather than formal indicators. That is, to refuse to use in the evaluation of studies of impact factors of journals, Hirsch indices and other indicators that do not indicate the quality of a particular study. Instead, it is necessary to focus primarily on peer review, which includes the assessment of independent experts, which may be the scientists themselves. In addition to international discussions, some scientists published their vision of methods and technologies for evaluating scientific publications. It is worth noting that all of them agree that scientific publications should have an open evaluation system, without rejecting expertise and peer review. Since users interested in scientific publications get access to them through scientific libraries or their internet services, it is worthwhile to introduce an assessment system there. After reviewing the relevant scientific work, the user will immediately be able to evaluate it in the appropriate library system. Consider the model of the functioning of the system for evaluating scientific publications. It functions at the expense of incoming information, scientific publication and information about the appraiser, and at the exit of the system information about the assessment is formed. The system is influenced by the requirements for scientific publications and legislation. It is advisable to break the process of evaluating a scientific publication into sub-processes in order to better understand the functioning of the system. It all starts with the process of establishing the compliance of a scientific publication, at the entrance of which there is a scientific publication, and at the exit, data on compliance, guided by the process of requirements for scientific publications and legislation. There is also a process of determining the weight of the assessment. The process takes place based on information about the appraiser. The result of the process is the evaluation coefficient. The mechanism of the process is the method of expert assessments. Based on the information obtained from these processes, data analysis takes place. For this process, the same mechanisms are used as for the previous two. The output is the analyzed data. Using the following process, they are written to the database. The process uses the mechanism of working with the database. The next is the process of forming a comprehensive assessment, which takes place based on information derived from the previous process, a set of relevant assessments. At the exit from the process, we get information about the assessment. The process of interaction in the system begins with the receipt and registration of publication in the library collection, after which the work of the system for evaluating educational materials begins, which displays materials to the user. Based on several user ratings, the system after some time displays the rating to the author and other users of the system. It is also advisable to describe the sequence of the system of evaluation of scientific publications. The rater puts a rating/review into the system. The system, using the mechanism for determining the coefficient, establishes the weight of the assessment. In the correction system, the score is converted, after which it is recorded in the system. Then the system displays the score in the library catalog. Each user of the scientific library uses registration data to enter the system, with the help of which user data is determined: scientific direction, position, academic title, academic degree. That is, data to determine the weight of the assessment can be taken from the library system. The scientific content of the library will be evaluated according to the following criteria: relevance, compliance, clarity, completeness, reliability, and design. Formally, there will be assessments of several groups of experts, depending on the degree. According to the appraisers, belonging to one of them, the weight of his assessment will be established. The following subgroups are highlighted: a user without an academic title and a scientific degree, with an academic title, with a scientific degree, with an academic title and a scientific degree. The Delphi method was initially considered solely as a method of forecasting, but later it turned out that it also has quite significant analytical capabilities. The Delphi method is characterized by three features that distinguish it from other methods of collective expert evaluation: anonymity, adjustable feedback, statistical processing of examination data. If the composition of experts is heterogeneous, as in conducting our expert assessment, then among the expert group are identified leading experts whose opinion on certain issues is more significant. Each of the experts in such cases is assigned a weighting factor. At the same time, to obtain a generalized opinion on a particular issue, the weighted arithmetic mean is calculated, where v, individual assessment of each expert, k, weighting factor, n, number of experts. An example of a scheme for calculating the assessment of scientific content is presented in table. A scientific publication will be evaluated according to 6 criteria: relevance, compliance, clarity, etc. For each group of experts, the weight factor of each of the criteria will be different. For example, for scientists without an academic title and a scientific degree, the clarity of the material is more important than design. The expert for each criterion of the material sets an assessment, which is multiplied by the weighting factor, and a balanced assessment of the criterion is obtained. In total, we get a real assessment of the scientific publication by an expert. In each group of experts there are those whose assessment has a higher weighting factor. Therefore, multiplying the real estimate by the weighting factor and suturing them, we get the sum of the weighted assessments of experts, which will be a weighted assessment of the scientific publication. Thus, using the Delphi method, a comprehensive assessment is calculated. Summarizing all that has been said, we make the following conclusions. The development of an information product for the evaluation of scientific publications will provide library staff of scientific libraries with a tool that would contribute to increasing the relevance, pertinence, and reliability of search results. Today, researchers strive for fast and accurate information search results, which in turn places new requirements on the functioning of scientific libraries. Standard cataloging is no longer enough to meet the information and search queries of library users. Like searching the internet, searching in library information resources requires rating of available materials. Evaluation of the information content of library information resources helps to implement their ranking with the subsequent formation of the issuance of the result of a search query. The implementation of the proposed method of evaluating scientific publications in the information system of libraries will solve several problems. The main ones are improving the relevance of information search to meet the needs of library users, completing library collections with high-quality publications, establishing information support for leading scientists of the educational institution.